What is up, guys? Stu here. Next up in our film festival reviews this year, we start getting into the foreign film territory. Ooh, I like the sound of that. With 120 beats per minute, or beats per minute, or it seems to be under loads of different names. It's the new film from Campillo. Let's talk about that shit. So 120 beats per minute, if you've not heard about it, is a French film set in the 90s about a group of activists in Paris called ACT UP Paris, who are all HIV positive, and they're essentially putting pressure on different groups and other different chains of the government about the indifference towards AIDS in society at that time. And this film is seriously powerful. I was pretty blown away by it, to be honest, guys. But I was absolutely blown away by the central performance here. And I'm going to try and say his name, but bear with me because I am going to butcher this, so I'm so sorry. He's a dude called Nahuel Perez Biscayar. Absolutely 100% butchered. I don't even know why I tried that one. But he ends up being quite a main focus in the film. He's a character of Sean, and this guy is really something here. I absolutely love this performance. He just absolutely nails every aspect of this character. There's so much anger and passion behind him. Every time he's speaking as well in the film, he just completely commands the screen. There's a bunch of different arguments he has with other characters, but also some really lovely pieces of dialogue between him and some of the other guys, mainly the guy that he has a romance with in the film. And every single line feels like I'm watching a guy that has gone through the stuff he's gone through. I just thought it was an absolute joy to watch. I cannot wait to see him in anything else after this. But outside of that, the film is a big focus on this group, ACT UP, of these activists. And so you kind of need to have a fantastic ensemble. There can't really be many weak links there. And I'm happy to say that everyone gives fantastic performances here. When they're debating each other or they're having disagreements, it all feels incredibly real and natural. But it's the direction here from Campillo as well, which is absolutely stunning. The main thing I loved about it, and it is something that I think works in tangent with the performances, is that it really does have this almost kind of documentary feel. The way he shoots all of the dialogue and the debates in the film, because a lot of it does focus on the group meetings that they have as a bunch of activists where they're deciding what they're going to do to put pressure on other groups. So we see a lot of the arguments and differences between the characters come to light, and when he's shooting those moments, it really does feel genuinely like we're just sort of a fly on the wall in a real conversation. And I was really surprised and impressed by the way that this film decides to tell its story. It's a bit of a curveball there. I wasn't really expecting it. It spends pretty much the first half hour really not getting into a narrative storyline as we'd expect. It's really just showing this activist group, and we spend a lot of time, as I said, with their meetings discussing what they're going to be doing, and it's out of that the drama arises and that the narrative arises. I was so engrossed and hooked into seeing how this group worked in their meetings that suddenly you start getting these characters' relationships developing, and before you know it, the narrative of the film has sort of kicked into gear and you're fully on board with it. It's a really clever way, I think, of getting the audience on board with the characters before you throw it into the storyline, and as a result that becomes much more effective in the drama it's going for, and becomes this incredibly powerful film by the end. The final act of this film absolutely stunned me and stunned the rest of the screening I was in. It's one of those films where it goes to the credits and there's no music on the credits, and everyone, without fail, sits there in silence just reflecting on what they've just watched. It's one of those films, because holy shit, I cried like an absolute baby at the end of this film, which seems to be becoming a staple of all these London Film Festival reviews this year. But I was beside myself by this film. But it's also powerful in the fact that, I don't know about you guys, but watching a group that is so committed to a cause, it's just powerful. There's no way to watch this and not feel passion behind the cause in the film. And I think Campillo's direction and the writing does a fantastic job of never making it feel like you're being preached to about a certain way of thinking about these events and topics. It does give you a pretty broad spectrum of opinions from within the group, and I think that really helps to get you on board with different opinions on the subject at hand here. It's really fascinating to me to see the different sides of the group coming out and all their disagreements about the different ways they can be doing stuff. Some people think it's too aggressive and too violent. Some people think it isn't violent enough. It's that side of things that absolutely fascinated me about this film. But I love that Campillo also isn't afraid to try out some more interesting routes in the direction here. There are certain moments throughout the film, particularly to do with dance sequences, which you'll know what I mean if you've seen the film, which pop up here and there, which serve to kind of, I guess, break up the action a little bit and do feel like very interesting detours in a direction where everything else seems to be very kind of almost documentary, like as I said. But they absolutely do work, and they're incredibly poignant for reasons I'm not entirely sure I can pin down. There's this really gorgeous recurring thing that happens with, it's hard to explain, particles in front of a character, and I do absolutely adore it when things like that come together in a film and move you in a way which you didn't expect. And I think it's kind of necessary to have those bits in the film to sort of break it up a bit and signal some of the headspace changes within the characters. I think it's a really interesting way of going about it, and I really enjoyed that side of things. I do, however, think though that there are some things holding this film back, most notable of which being that it is a long film. It is about 2.5 hours, and you certainly do feel it, I think. But I'm slightly torn by that, because on the one hand, I do think it could have benefited from being a little bit trimmed down. I'm not entirely sure how much it needed to be dragged out like that, and you do certainly feel it at points. But on the other hand, it is one of those films which I kind of do think needs the length to be able to pull off what it's trying to pull off. You feel the length, but I'm not entirely sure I'd necessarily say I was really bored at any point. So yeah, at the end of the day, I was incredibly impressed with 120 beats per minute. It is incredibly important, powerful film. I think it's going to be hard for anyone to watch this film and not be like, oh shit. Well, I feel like my heart's just crumbled into 1,000 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5 stars. I was absolutely blown away by this one. It's easily one of my favourites of the festival, and if you can get out and see it, please definitely do go and do that. You won't regret it. But what about you guys? Have you seen it already? I know it's been showing at a couple of festivals here and there, so if you've managed to check out 120 beats per minute, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I would absolutely love to know. And as usual, if you like this review and you want to see me talk about more shit, please go ahead and click subscribe. But until next time, stay beautiful, motherfuckers. Quiche's Lorraine. It's me again. That rhymed. Oh shit, that rhymed. Popping up to let you guys know about the London Film Festival playlist I've got on my channel at the moment. Filling that bad boy up with a butt ton of reviews from the festival that I'm seeing. So go ahead on there, check out any films, any thoughts on films that you want to see from me over the festival. Still more to come, so it's going to be filling up quickly. Get in there. Have a little look with your eyeballs. You might not regret it. You might. I'm not selling this well, am I?